Hi, this is Axel Rudi Pell, and you're watching Sony Perspective. Yeah, baby.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Jonathan with you for Sonic Perspectives, and I am here with the one and only Axel Rudi Pell, the late, I guess you could say the middle era maestro of the guitar from Germany, given all of the great predecessors and also the ones that have since come after you. And I'm sure among the many questions that we'll be trying to answer here is whether you are simply a king that happens to be a wizard or if you are actually the king of wizards.
I'm not a king, not neither a wizard, you know. I'm
Yeah, well,
actually,
your music sounds like it.
yeah, thank you very much. But sometimes people say Axel Rudi and Pell, isn't one idiot enough, you know? I see myself at first, I see myself as a regular guitar player who is able to write and compose good songs in some way. But most people love it, Other people hate it, but I don't give a shit. Who cares? No, I don't see myself, but there's so many different guitar players who play much better technical wise than I do. But my intention is to put my inner feelings in pull the fingers into the guitar, and that's what I'm doing.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a frequent criticism that some of your contemporaries in the 80s had was that they were all technique, but not a lot of soul. But I don't think
Right.
anybody can accuse you of that.
That's right. Exactly. You know the yeah, exactly. You got it 100%. There's so many good guitar players play technical very well, but they're lacking anything of emotion or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. So before we have a new album coming out actually tomorrow, but before we get into that, I just want to do a little bit of background. We're gonna
Okay.
kind of jump around a little bit here
Okay.
to start off with. When you were around, what time did you first pick up the guitar?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That was a long time ago. I'm a very old guy. I think I got my first guitar from my parents to my 12th birthday in 1972. You see, I'm very old. I'm
Mm.
close. Yeah, I'm closer to that than to be born. Who cares? That's a joke. No, when I was 12 years old, I got my first acoustic, and then I got my first electric, I think 1.5 year later. And then I started around 73, 74. I think my first band, the first show we had was 1974 in the summer. That was great.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I think your 70s roots really show through in your
Yeah.
music. You got your first guitar the same year that Machine Head came out, I believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 97 Deep Purple Machine. I love the fucking record. Amazing record. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think wasn't that also the first Scorpions album? Didn't it come out that year also?
It could be. I didn't follow the Scorpion at that time. The Scorpions hit me with Virgin Killer. I think it was 1976 or something. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
I can definitely hear a good deal of Ritchie Blackmore and also Ole John Roth influences in your music. Were there any other guitar players from that era that really impacted your
Uh,
style?
oh yeah, definitely. Michael Schenker, he was huge with UFO. When I think he was 19 when he joined UFO. UFO was the first band I attended. It was my first rock concert I ever saw live. It was so great. It was in my hometown. It was an open air. And they had both guitar players, Michael Schenker and Paul Chapman, on the same stage with UFO. It was amazing. I was blown away. I said, Jesus Christ, I want to do that too. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. Around what time did you form your first band?
It was 1974. It was more like a school band. With some friends in the cellar somewhere downstairs at the youth club, as far as I remember. Yeah, and it was fun. We rehearsed one time a week, which is not very often. And then later I had several different bands. I knew my bass player since 1978, and I formed a band with him that was the pre-Steeler. I think we had a different name. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, yeah. And as far as the Steeler albums go, I think the first one came out in 1983, which I think was a very important year
84.
for Oh, it was 84. Yep, gotcha. Even more important year. That was the year that Van Halen's 1984 came out.
That's right. Yeah.
So, was there any influence from Van Halen that came in later? Were you listening to what he was doing also?
Oh, when I first heard the Van Halen record when it came out in '78, I was blown away. I said, "What is this? Is this a guitar? What is it? How is it doing that? You know, tapping thing and stuff." I was so shocked when it came out. I said, Richie, you have to listen to that guy, you know. I was really impressed by his playing. And still am, you know. Unfortunately, he's not there any longer, but
Yeah.
he was one of the main influences, of course. But I never was so much into this tapping thing because I think Eddie did it great. He had a few followers who tried to copy him, but they failed. You know, it always said, no, there's only one original. You know, I don't want to copy him, so no problem.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a signature style there. And actually, soon after him was actually another guitar player that you are sometimes compared to, although I think maybe it's because you had similar influences, and that is Yngwie Malmsteen. He also had a band named Steeler around the same time as you. Was there
Yes.
any copyright issues there, or was it
No,
okay?
no, we didn't know it, you know, because I went to a record store buying some vinyl and looking for vinyl, and suddenly I saw this cover of the American band Steeler. I say, what the fuck is going on here? With the same name, you know. But then the owner of the record store, he told me, oh, the band is over. It's not exist any longer. I said, oh, we're lucky we can keep that name, you know. So I never heard from any lawyers from American Steeler. We never heard of them, so no problem.
That's
I
good.
think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Ron Keel was moving more towards a glam sound after that, and so
right.
I think he formed
Yeah.
his own band. And Yngwie, of course, maybe you can thank Ronnie James Dio's replacement, Graham Bonnet, for that one too, for getting him away from Steeler.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Graham
Did
Buck
you?
he's a nice guy. You know, he sang with me for one show of 10 years ago at my 25th anniversary show. He was a guest. Yeah,
Oh, amazing! Yeah, I actually got to interview him for his last solo album a little over a year ago. Yeah,
I see.
great guy. His
Yeah,
wife
he's
is
nice. Yeah.
actually from the Philadelphia area, which is where I'm from.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And speaking of Philadelphia, we go a little bit east over into New Jersey. I believe
Yeah.
that's the home state of your current lead vocalist, Johnny Gioeli, right?
No. He's living in Connecticut.
Oh, he's in
I
Connecticut.
think
Okay, he's further
he's in
north.
Connecticut. Yeah. I think he was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And then he
Okay.
moved over, I think, to California when he's around 9 or 10 years old with his parents and his brother. And then he returned from the West Coast to the East Coast. I think it was 10 years ago or 12 years ago. He's now Connecticut. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, a lot of people here call Connecticut Little New York, basically, because
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of the people who live there work in New York. Yeah, so now moving into the current era, the Axel Rudi Pell era, as we discussed, there are a lot of members of the current lineup that actually have an extensive history in the scene, and I think probably the most significant recent addition is Bobby Rondinelli. Actually, he's been with you for about 10 years now, I think.
yeah. He's a new guy since 11 years. Yeah, yeah.
It's funny calling him the new guy because I remember him from the late days of Warlock, actually. And
Oh, really? Oh, that was way back in the 80s, I think.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was only 8 years old at the time, but
yeah.
yeah, I had a huge crush on Doro back when I
Yeah,
was.
oh yeah. I know Dora very well too. Yeah, I know her long time ago. I know her since over 40 years or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I missed the 70s, but I did have two older brothers, so I think they did a good job educating me.
Okay. That's
Excellent.
great.
Okay, so in comparison to some of the other drummers you've worked with over the years, how would you say Rodinelli is different?
Yeah, you know, to all other drummers I worked in the past, every time I have to explain when I wrote a song, I have to explain the rhythm. Please play that. Please play this, try that. And Bobby, it's the same musical thing, you know, same musical what do you call it, direction. He
Mhm.
likes the same music than I do, you know. And when I'm in the studio and Bobby shows up, I said, Bobby, listen to the track, and he had the rhythm, and he said, I know exactly what you want me to play there, baby. Let's hit it. And then he started playing. I said, actually, fucking hey, you know, great. I love it. You know, sometimes it's just little small things, maybe another break there or whatever. But he's perfect. He's such a nice guy. He's easy to work with. He's one of, in my opinion, one of the best drummers in the world. You know, he's fucking awesome. Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
definitely no disagreement there. I've
Yeah.
I remember back when I was a teenager, I was actually one of those rebels who was not into the grunge thing at all, even though it was big when
Yeah,
I was in school.
yeah.
And he did a collaboration with Al Romano. I think it was called, I think was it Sun Red Sun or Red Sun Red? It was one of those. It was only one
Okay.
album, but
Okay.
he was involved in that. And I thought his drum work on that was incredible. I actually have an autographed copy of the CD. I think
Yeah.
and a little bit more of like a modern rock vibe, but definitely closer to the good stuff in the '80s rather than
I see.
the crap
I
that they
love it.
had going on in Seattle at the time.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
actually wanted to ask you before we get into the new album,
Yeah.
when the grunge thing got big in the '90s,
Yeah.
I noticed it had zero effect on your music at all. I
Yes,
remember
definitely.
Between the Walls and Eternal Prisoner, no grunge anywhere. So did you have any thoughts about that scene, or how much did it affect the German music scene at that time?
I don't know if it affects some of the other bands for sure, because I knew at that time there were so many bands to try to get on this grunge train. You know what I mean? You wanna have success, whatever, and they failed, and now they're gone. Long time ago, they're not there any longer. So I never changed my style, and I said, okay, the grunge thing is cool for people who love grunge. A few bands were great, like Nirvana, for example. I loved Nirvana, but I never was influenced by them, never.
Mhm.
Some of the songs I think they're still cool. And nowadays, I still listen to them sometimes, but they no effect on my thing because I want to go straight. It
Mhm.
would be very untrue to myself, to my heart, to my loyal fans, because they're expecting something different, not grunge for me. So I just say, whatever.
Yeah, I think Kurt himself often complained about people imitating him. He
Yeah,
would tell
yeah,
people constantly, "Find your own sound. Come on."
right, exactly. He was right. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, finally, as far as vocalists go, getting back to Johnny, what do you think is the main difference between him and, say, Jeff and Rob and the others you worked with in the past?
I have to tell you that all are professional singers. They're all very nice, easy to work with. Yeah, there was no different. Apart from the difference that I think Johnny got the perfect voice for my kind of music. I think he's the best suitable person for my style, for ARP style. He's great.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
did you discover him through his work with Hardline, or how did you? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
because
I first heard Johnny when the first Heartline record came out. I think it was 1992. I heard it by accident. I said, what the fuck is that? I thought this song is great. Who is that? Who is that singer? He has great voice. Still think the vocal could be a little louder in the first record because the way back mixed in the background. That was Johnny complaining about too, what he later told me. But anyway, I listened to that guy. I said, wow, this is great. If I ever need a new singer, I have to get in touch with this guy. And then Hartley fell apart. And when Jeff Scott Soto had to leave ARP because he had several commitments in Las Vegas, whatever, and he couldn't do a tour, and I had to look for a new singer. I said, Johnny Gioeli, I have to get hold of him. But I didn't have any contact, no email address, no phone number, no nothing. And I asked several guys which I knew from the States, I said, can you get in? We tried. No, we failed. Another one, I think I have an email address. Maybe it's old, but try it. And I tried it, and it was actually him. And he said, Axel, you're a little late. I said, what do you mean, Johnny? He said, I just cut my hair off 6 weeks ago. I did such long hair, very short hair, and I quit music business. I said, are you kidding me, my friend, with that voice? You can't quit. And it took me I think nearly 6 months. I wrote a fucking, every day I wrote a fucking email to him. He said, Johnny, please do it. I love you, man. You have a great voice. And then he agreed, and he came over to Germany and he didn't know any German word, stood there in the train. In the States, he told me when you're in the train, you want to go out, the door, they open automatically. In Germany, you have to press a button, otherwise you stay closed. And he was stood there, it's not opening, it's not opening. But he found out, somebody told him, he went out and see him and said, hey, you Johnny, yeah. We went straight into the studio before we even go to the hotel. You had the first track, he said, wow, this is awesome. I'm here, yeah, let's do it. And that's it. I love this guy.
Yeah, definitely. He does not sing with his hair. That much is for certain. And I guess
Right. Yeah.
I guess his Italian wasn't helping him much in Germany, was it?
No, no, he doesn't understand the word Italian, just a few words.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's better than me though. I mean, my ancestry is mostly Irish, and I don't know a
Right.
single word of Gaelic at all.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Sometimes it's
What
tough,
happens when you go to America? You forget everything except for English.
right? I mean, especially with the Irishman and the Scottishman, I don't understand a word when they speak native. No, no chance at all.
Yeah, yeah. Even when they speak English, especially when you get into Southern Ireland, it's just like
Right.
it's all like one word, and then they
I see.
stop,
Yeah.
and you're like, what?
Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah. All right. So now we need to get into what's current. We got a good bit of history there, but the new album, Risen Symbol, it's coming out tomorrow actually. So I don't feel as bad about talking a lot about it because I don't think I'm spoiling any surprises. So most of your albums seem to have a similar structure, but as time goes on, I've noticed some things have changed, other things maybe a little less so. What do you think is the main thing that separates this new album from, say, the ones that you've done with this lineup going back to Into the Storm?
Yeah, the cover artwork is different.
Oh,
No, yeah, that was a joke. Sorry, but
that's okay.
what really I think is the different. This album sounds a little fresher. The sound is more powerful, and about the writing process, or about the compositions. I mean, I used to write a song in the past where it's a guitar riff, they have a verse with vocals, they have the bridge, the chorus, and then it starts from the top, and then a solo, and then it repeats. But this time, of course, there are a few songs which follow this thing, but this time I said, it could be a little more interesting. So I put, for example, in the last track or whatever, lots of the new track, I put different guitar rhythms in one song. That's not only one rhythm, there are three or four. So it's like what's the name of the last track? Um, Taken by Storm.
Ah, yes.
Taken by Storm, for example, different guitar rhythms, different things in there. We never did that before, first time. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I noticed there was a very strong mystical flavor. And at times, I almost thought I hear a little bit of Black Moon Pyramid at times, and then here's the pyramid on the cover. So I guess it makes
Right.
sense. So could you get
Yeah.
into a little bit of what influenced like the introduction, the resurrection, and also
Yeah.
is it pronounced Ankaya?
Ankaya, right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, those two
Yeah.
really stuck out to me. So
That's right. When I looked at the artwork, you said this huge pyramid, and that was when I wrote Ankaya, I was into half. I looked at the artwork and said, wow, that's great. That's great. I have to do it. Ankaya is about a guy who's he's running or walking in the desert. He's crawling on the ground because running out of water, very thirsty. He's crawling through the sand, looking for some water and fruits and whatever. And suddenly he saw a big, huge pyramid and fruits and water and people everywhere. The life goes on. He said, "Oh, I'll crawl there." And when he was there, he noticed, oh, it was a miracle, Fata Morgana, it doesn't exist, and then have to return. So that's a story about Ankaya. Ankaya is a fictional city somewhere in the east, which I created by myself. So anyway, that's the story.
yeah, and that's been a recurring sort of a consistent thing with your music. It's mostly a fictional viewpoint. There's not a
Right.
lot of say real world current events
No.
things. You're
And
mostly
I never put any real word out of my own word into these lyrics. Never. No.
okay.
Apart from when I write a song for a girl or whatever. Then yes.
Yeah, everybody does that. Even
Right.
even Malmsteen does that.
Oh yeah. But
Yeah,
it's instrumental like I love you, baby. Oh, that's I'm kidding.
yeah, yeah. So was there by any chance, I noticed particularly with Ankaya, there was almost a symphonic flavor to it, like
Yeah,
orchestration.
right.
Had Was there any influence from what Hans Zimmer did with the new Dune movies in there? Did you see those or
No, I've never seen it, never heard of it. It's quite interesting. I have to watch it. I think is
Mhm.
it it's a new movie. The Dune.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Okay.
did two parts. One was in
Yeah.
2021 and the other one was last year. And Hans Zimmer did the
Ah,
score. He had very, very strong Middle Eastern, very Egyptian sounding
oh,
soundtrack.
great! I have to watch it. Thank you for the tip. By the way, thank you. No, I got influenced for especially when this song by the orchestral thing by Jimmy Page and Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin did something. They played Kashmir with an Egyptian orchestra. I think it was 95 or 96. It's called
Yeah,
Unlimited.
yeah.
Got out
Mid
on DVD.
90s. Yeah,
Right.
I think they called the album that they released No Quarter, but they called
That's
it
right. No quarter.
Unleaded or something like
Unlimited,
that.
yes. And that was a big influence on myself. I said, wow, this Egyptian orchestra, we have to get a special part in Ankara. Not similar, not the same, but very similar. Eh? And I talked to my keyboard player and I talked to Bobby, yeah, percussion. And he played the percussion on it. And we added all the stuff and it sounds great, I think.
Yeah, it does. I think you made a wise choice by not putting a 4-minute violin solo in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah, right.
That was the first live performance that I saw on television of Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, actually, because I
Right.
grew up after Led Zeppelin had broken up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I remember that performance very well. That was one of the few times when MTV played something that was worth watching
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
that
Way
time.
back in that day, yeah.
Yeah, so there's also a good number of straightforward rocking anthems. I think especially the two singles that you put out. I think it was, or I think the label normally chooses your singles,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah, they asked me, what do you think? I said maybe Guardian Angel is the first single because it's a commercial track. It's catchy, it gets in your ear. You can sing with it. Typical ARP sound. Not too much going on there, but it's great. And the record company, yeah, 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 and we can't put out any long track. It's longer than 6 minutes now go. That's so we're radio friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think apart from maybe the late 60s, there's never been a hit song that's been more than 5 minutes.
That's right. You're right. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of the 60s and the early 70s, the Immigrant Song cover, another great use of mystical flavoring to
Right.
give something new to an
Yeah.
old song.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, this song followed me since it came out in 1972, but I was still wondering why there's no guitar solo on it. It's just a short track, like 2:30 or 2:40 seconds. I don't know, 2 minutes 40 seconds. I said,
Mhm.
why Jimmy Page didn't play any solo? I don't know why. And then I said, and I always had in my mind to cover it. One of these days I have to cover this track, but build something around it. And now was the right time with the Oriental kind of flavor, whatever background. And I said, now is the right time, and we went into the studio and recorded it now. I think I love that track. I love it.
Definitely, and I think this is one will be one of the definite fan favorites. I mean, speaking for myself, my first introduction to your music was your cover of "Still I'm Sad," and I
Oh
noticed
yeah, yeah.
you brought a lot new to that song as well. I think you
Right,
may have.
right.
Did your version come out before or after Richie Blackmore's remake in 1995?
Oh, I don't have a clue to be honest. I can't remember when which way it was released. I'm lost. Sorry, I
Because
don't know.
I almost think that if it was before 1995, he might have heard your version because his remake, he put a very long solo at the
I
beginning.
see. Okay, could be. Yeah, Richie is aware of me. I met him several times. So once the first time I met him, I had his private address from a different
Mm.
kind of person. And first time I met him in person was in Germany. It was I think a promo for the first Black Moss Night album, 1997. He was there with his then wife, Candice Knight, and we talked about, I knew the promoting girl very good, I said, can I have a chance to see Richie, talk to him? But you're not a journalist. I said, I don't give a shit, he's one of my heroes. Okay, for 15 minutes, for 15 minutes, not longer. I say, I was the last on that day. Of course, he was late. And then I talked with him for over an hour. It was great. He was a great guy. He was very nice and friendly. I said, Richie, I have a present for you. This is our new CD. He looked at it and said, is it the one you sent to my birthday to my house? I said, yeah, yeah, then I got it. I said, okay. And I asked him, what do you think about my music? Are you a good guitar player? There's some good songs of it. Not all of them, but quite a few. They're great. I said, thank you.
I don't think everybody can love every song. I think there's always a few
Right.
where they're like,
Yeah,
it's okay, but yeah, maybe once is enough.
that's right.
Yeah, but it's amazing. And speaking for myself as a as a longtime fan of your music, I'm almost tempted to send you my band's album. Actually, it's on Spotify.
Okay.
We're heavily influenced by Halloween, so a lot of it's very
Ah, I
fast.
see.
But
I know very Halloween the guys very well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I grew up with them ever since I saw I Want Out, the
Yeah.
music video on TV. I love their style of comedy.
Yeah, yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Jokey band. They're great on stage. Even it's better on stage. When you watch them, you're laughing. Yeah, it's great.
Excellent. Yeah. So now alongside the album, I'm assuming that there's going to be some touring coming in support of the album. So can you
Yeah.
tell us what you're planning on doing for the rest of the year? Or
Yeah, we're starting actually. The first show will be on the 13th of July in Bulgaria. The festival, we're co-headlining that. And then we have a few headlining shows in Germany in July. Then we play the Europeans' most famous metal festival, the Wacken Open Air again on the main stage. It's amazing there. You're standing there. What you see is hundred thousands of people, 4 million, 8 million people. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Maybe 100,000 or whatever. It's incredible. And then we have a few more summer festivals. I think one in Sweden, and in Czech Republic, in Switzerland. I don't know where else. And then we're going off on our headlining tour starting at the beginning of October, runs through the whole October in Europe. There are countries like Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember everything.
okay,
Um,
well, the
and
good news is my passport still has 3 years left on it, so I might be able to make the Wacken Festival. We'll see.
yeah, it would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's probably are there any North American dates or
Oh no, no. I always ask. I have two Americans in the band. I always ask Johnny and Folk and Bobby. I say, hey guys, what do you think about doing a small tour in the USA? They say, Axel, this music is kind of nearly over in the States. If you're lucky, getting 100 or 120 people, and that means that we'll lose money, and that's not the intention. So unfortunately, no plans yet.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, it's unfortunately that's very true. I mean, I'm both well, Accept is now America based. Wolf moved here, so
Yeah, I know
they are touring here, and I plan on catching them. But
that.
they have to tour with KK's Priest. They're not
I
headline.
see. I
That's how
see.
bad it is in the United States right now.
Right.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say 85% of my band's listeners on Spotify are either in Europe or South America. It's
Yeah.
just the
Okay.
way it is. I think, unfortunately, the alternative rock thing in the 90s killed the scene, and
That's
it's
right. Yeah. Yeah.
struggle ever since.
Right. I think we're running out of time. I have to do the next interview in 23 seconds.
Okay.
32
Okay.
seconds.
Yeah. So, yeah, we better wrap this up then. Okay. So, we got the touring out of the way. Is there anything else you want to say to the fans before we wrap this up?
I hope that they will love our new album as much as the band does. Johnny, for example, my singer, he said after he heard the mixing, he said, Axel, I really think this is the best record we did together. I think, yeah, baby, you're right. What else can I say?
Yeah, definitely. And it's got some very tough competition from all the other albums you've done. So that's saying
Yeah,
something.
right. I think definitely it's one of the best, or maybe it's the best. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so far I definitely think so. And I was actually proud to be able to review it for Sonic Perspective. So
Thank you so much. Very appreciated. Thank you.
my pleasure. So with that said, I think we better wrap this up. So until next time, this has been
Yeah.
Jonathan with Sonic Perspectives with Axel Rudi Pell. Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye bye. Good night.